It was a clear Tuesday morning, September 11th, 2001. The city of New York was just beginning its day, people heading to work, children off to school, and skies perfectly blue. No one knew that within minutes, the world would change forever. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. 17 minutes later, United Airlines Flight 175 struck the South Tower. Within the next hour, another plane hit the Pentagon, and a fourth, Flight 93, went down in Pennsylvania after brave passengers fought back. The Twin Towers fell amid none, and with them, nearly 3,000 innocent lives were lost. America was in shock. The world watched in silence. The skyline of New York was burning, and the hearts of millions were shattered. The U.S. strikes back. In the days that followed, President George W. Bush addressed the nation, calling the attacks an act of war. The world heard his words: "We will not tire, we will not falter, and we will not fail." Soon after, the United States identified the group behind the attacks, al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden. They were believed to be hiding in Afghanistan under the protection of the Taliban regime. On October 7th, 2001, the U.S. launched Operation Enduring Freedom. American and allied forces began airstrikes and ground assaults on Taliban and al-Qaeda bases. Within weeks, the Taliban government was toppled, but the war had only just begun. Thousands of American troops were deployed. It became a war not against one country, but against a shadow that could appear anywhere. The Iraq invasion. 2 years later, in 2003, the U.S. invaded Iraq, claiming that President Saddam Hussein possessed weapons of mass destruction and supported terrorism. In just weeks, Baghdad fell. Saddam's regime was gone, but something was missing. The weapons were never found. Instead, Iraq slipped into chaos. Sectarian conflict, suicide bombings, and insurgencies tore the nation apart, and from that chaos, new extremist groups were born. The most deadly of all, ISIS. The war on terror was spreading. What began as justice for 9/11 had become a global struggle with no end in sight. The longest war. In Afghanistan, the fighting continued for nearly 20 years. More than 2,400 American soldiers lost their lives, and hundreds of thousands of Afghans, civilians, men, women, and children, were killed. Generations grew up knowing only war. Villages destroyed, lives displaced, futures lost. In 2011, after a decade of searching, U.S. Navy SEALs carried out a secret operation in Abbottabad, Pakistan. They killed Osama bin Laden, the man who had planned the 9/11 attacks. The world celebrated. Justice at last had been served, but even after his death, terrorism did not end. The network had grown far beyond one man or one place. The global impact. The war on terror reshaped the modern world. Airports introduced intense security checks, full-body scans, strict bag rules, endless fear of another attack. Governments expanded surveillance and intelligence programs. New agencies like the Department of Homeland Security were created, and the U.S. allies joined America, the UK, NATO nations, and others, while critics accused the U.S. of overreach civilian casualties and violating human rights. The wars in Afghanistan and Iraq cost the United States over $8 trillion. More than 38 million people were displaced across the Middle East, and still, peace remains fragile. The legacy of 9/11. After 20 long years, in August 2021, the U.S. finally withdrew its troops from Afghanistan. Within days, the Taliban returned to power. The same group America had tried to remove in 2001. It felt like a history repeating itself. 2 decades of blood, sacrifice, and hope. And yet, the question remains, was it worth it? The war on terror left behind lessons written in pain. It taught the world that fear can reshape nations, that justice can blur with revenge, and that even the strongest empires cannot fight shadows forever.